And welcome back everyone. New week, new video, and this week's video is going to be about my European vacation I took with my family last summer. So if you don't follow me on social media, one, you probably should. Links are in the description down below. Shameless self-plug. Had to, sorry. Anyways, my family and I took a 5-day European vacation in Paris and London. We stayed in Paris for 2 days while we stayed in London for 3. I mentioned this last video and I'll say it again, I didn't really talk much while I was in either city just because I was busy, you know, exploring the cities. So whatever you're seeing on screen right now is a post-commentary on whatever footage I shot based on what I can remember. Okay, so the day of the trip. I remember we left in the afternoon because we wanted to get to Paris when it was morning there, because when we left to go to the airport in Newark, it was like maybe 11 p.m. So we left to go to the airport at around 5 or 6-ish. This is probably footage of me, you know, dragging my luggage into the Uber or whatever taxi we're using to get to the airport, filming some footage there, getting into the airport, probably taking an elevator or escalator or something, checking in our bags, going to TSA, heading to the gate, probably more footage of me dragging my luggage with me, scanning my boarding pass, and boarding the plane. I swear to God, if I'm spot on by this point, I will be surprised. Moving on. I'm not too sure how long my flight was. I want to say around 8 hours, I'm not too sure, but I do know for a fact that it was a direct flight from Newark to Charles de Gaulle in Paris. And I also remember I watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 while I was on my flight. It was a really nice Marvel movie, I highly recommend it, and you know, it was really nice getting to see it on my flight considering I think it had just come out. And then I fell asleep. Not during the movie, obviously. Fell asleep after. Got off the plane and was greeted by a giant sign that said Bienvenue, which I think means welcome in French. Not gonna lie, I almost said Spanish. Got on a train to the general area where our hotel was, and I think we took the Paris Metro. I could be wrong about that one. And from there we did all the tourist stuff. We got onto a hop-on, hop-off bus. Basically you get on or get off at whatever stop you want, and we passed by the most notable of the Paris landmarks, the Louvre, the Arc de Triomphe, and the Eiffel Tower. Later that night, we took a cruise down the Seine River straight through Paris, and we saw the entire city light up. It was so beautiful getting to see Paris at night, especially the Eiffel Tower. I think at some point during our cruise, the Eiffel Tower did some kind of like light show and had blinking lights that were blinking rapidly. I'm not sure if I got it on video, but this is the footage I got from the cruise. And by the end of our cruise, it was super late. My mom wanted to go to this one other place, but again, it was super late and we were all tired, so we decided to take the Paris Metro back to our hotel. And so, that ends day 1 of Paris. Day 2. Day 2 of my European vacation involved me and my family going to Versailles. We went to the Palace of Versailles, where Louis XIV and a couple Louis after him lived. And from what I remember from that experience specifically, is that the line was super long. Even though we got there at what we thought was considered early, the line was still long. There were still a bunch of people in front of us. And the worst part about it was that it was actually cold. And keep in mind, this is August. It is cold in Versailles. For some reason, I needed a jacket that day. Fortunately though, the line did go progressively fast. And even though the line was painstakingly long, I still think the experience was worth it because once we got into the palace and we got our tour guide, being presented all of this French art and history was surreal. And I say that because it's not just stuff that's written in a textbook. This stuff is actually real. This is real history. And I might not be making any sense, but you had to be there to experience how relative it all was. How amazing all this art and all this history comes together in one building. After our experience at Versailles, we went back to Paris and we explored the Louvre. The interior this time. The line was long, but it wasn't as long as Versailles. And again, just seeing all this art in one building just goes to show how relative it all is, and it's not just written in your textbooks, this is real life. But I do want to say, getting to see the Mona Lisa was a very underwhelming experience, at least for me, because it was literally a bunch of people just shoved into a room, climbing on top of each other on their phones, trying to get a picture of a picture inside a glass case that's centuries old. Like, that was one of the worst things I've ever experienced. I do not recommend it at all. Do not do it. After the Louvre, we were all really tired, so we decided to crash for the rest of the day, considering we were staying in line for almost all of it, so we just chilled back at the hotel. And so that concludes day 2 in Paris. London, day 1. From what I remember, I think we gathered our belongings and checked out of our hotel at around maybe 11 or 12-ish Paris time. And then we took an Uber to Gare du Nord, which is North Station in English, to take a Eurostar train to King's Cross Station in London. The train ride took around maybe, I want to say 2 to 2.5 hours, not too sure, but the next thing I knew, I was in London. King's Cross Station also happens to be the station where Harry Potter went through to get through platform 9 3/4 to get to Hogwarts, and so there was a really cool Harry Potter store there. It was the ultimate wizarding experience, great for any Potterhead. Afterwards, my family and I went to buy some Oyster cards, which are basically the New York City equivalent of MTA travel cards for the subway. Oyster cards are for the tube and for buses, and I gotta say, the London tube system is 10 times better than New York City subway. There's signs where you need to see them, unlike New York City subways where there's like signs everywhere and just confuses the heck out of you. It's cleaner, that's for sure, and overall it's just a more user-friendly experience. It's less intimidating and there's little to no hesitation when it comes to navigating. Bought some Oyster cards, boarded the tube, and we went to Shoreditch. And if I were to classify Shoreditch in one word, it would be artsy, because everywhere you go in Shoreditch, there's art everywhere. There's graffiti art on one side of the street, there's pop art on another part of the street, there's dancing. It's just really lively in Shoreditch, and I consider it one of the artsiest places in London. After Shoreditch, we traveled to central London to see the sights there. We passed by a castle, but I'm blanking on the name of it right now. Then we went to Tower Bridge, went inside one tower, crossed the bridge inside the bridge, and went down the other tower. And it was just really cool to see how and when Tower Bridge was constructed. We actually got to witness Tower Bridge open and close for a cruise ship that was passing through it on the Thames River. So after Tower Bridge, my family and I decided to take the tube back to the hotel, and then we decided to eat dinner at Nando's, which was a really cool experience because, you know, cheeky Nando's and whatnot. Whew, I'm sweating under these lights, and so yeah, that concludes London day 1. Day 2 in London, a lot more happened. First, we visited Trafalgar Square and the exterior of the National Gallery. Then I visited St. Paul's Cathedral, where I climbed up a ton of steps. I don't think I've ever climbed up that many steps, like, ever in my lifetime. Needless to say, I did not skip leg day, that's for sure. But once I got to the top, I was greeted by a breathtaking view of London. So after climbing up St. Paul's Cathedral, and unfortunately climbing back down, I went to the Tower of London to see the crown jewels, as well as learn more about the history of the British monarchy. Unfortunately, cameras, photos, and videos were not allowed inside, and so this is the only video I have to show for. I don't want to pet it. After the Tower of London, my family and I took a cruise down the Thames River, similar to when we took a cruise down the Seine River while we were in Paris, and we went under all the bridges, including the Millennium Bridge, Tower Bridge, London Bridge, probably a few more bridges I'm forgetting, and we saw Big Ben and we saw London Eye. After we docked, we explored the surrounding area and we got to see Big Ben and London Eye up close. Unfortunately, we did not get to ride London Eye because 1, the line was way too long, and 2, tickets are very expensive. But for lunch, I did get to experience London's specialty fish and chips for the very first time. After lunch, we briefly visited Westminster Abbey, and then we visited Buckingham Palace. And so, after our visit to Buckingham Palace, my family decided to go back to the hotel while I decided to stop by YouTube Space London. And with that, that is the end of London Day 2, and thus brings us to the end of this video. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I spent 3 days in London, and that third day was spent filming a collaboration video with my longtime all-night British friend, Bailey Bain, otherwise known as LC Bailey on YouTube. The reason why I want to make this a separate video is because 1, this video's already long as it is. I'm surprised you're even still watching. Shout out to you if you're still watching. Thank you so much. And reason number 2 being, this video means a lot to me. Not many people get to meet their online friend ever, let alone in another country, on another continent, across an entire ocean. And so next week's video will be entirely dedicated to that, our collaboration video, as well as the moment when we first met in real life. I'm really excited to edit this video, more importantly share it with you guys, and yeah, it's just a video I've been meaning to put out for a while, but you know, I've been busy. So hopefully you're looking forward to that. But for now, thank you guys for watching this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't done so already for more content like this. And make sure you tap that bell icon to receive push notifications for whenever I upload a new video. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Jeric, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.